Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, my dear students. Today we will be discussing about nervous system, anatomy of the nervous system. Nervous system is defined as the system of our body which is responsible for perceiving and responding to stimuli in internal or external environment is called nervous system. So nervous system is that system of our body which is responsible to receive any information, any change in the environment, and to respond to that stimulus, to that change in the internal or external environment is known as nervous system. Stimulus is defined as any change in the environment, whether internal or external, is known as a stimulus. तो environment में जो भी change आता है, environment is surroundings, जो हमारे surroundings में, that is known as environment. One is external environment and other is internal environment, which we have discussed in the unit 1 homeostasis in detail. So environment में जब change आएगा, that is called stimulus. इसी stimulus को perceive करना, इसको integrate करना, process करना, और then इसको respond करना, it is the function of nervous system. So there are two types of communication to control the body function. One is nervous system and the other is endocrine system. The nervous system will be discussed in these two lectures, while endocrine system will be discussed in the upcoming lecture on endocrine systems or hormones. So types of nervous system. Basically there are two types of nervous system. One is central nervous system and the other is peripheral nervous system. Central nervous system includes brain and spinal cord. Peripheral nervous system, it includes cranial nerves, 12 pairs of cranial nerves and 31 pairs of spinal nerves, and it also has autonomic nervous system, which includes sympathetic nervous system and parasympathetic. Meninges is defined as three connective tissue membranes that cover or lies external to the brain and spinal cord is known as meninges. Meninges is basically a connective tissue, three layers of connective tissues जो membranes होते जो spinal cord और brain को cover करते हैं from outside, so they are known as meninges. So when we go from external to internal, the meningeal layers are dura mater, then comes the arachnoid matter, and then comes the pia mater. So dura mater, it's a bilaminar membrane which is hardest. It is the hardest layer and the most external layer, which has two layers, the outer periosteal layer and the inner investing dura proper. So the outer periosteal layer is in contact with the bones of the skull, and then comes the inner investing dura proper. The second layer or the middle layer, that is arachnoid matter, it's the middle part of meninges having web-like appearance and is impermeable to fluids. So after dura matter, when we go from external to internal, comes the arachnoid matter, and the arachnoid matter is the middle layer which is impermeable to the fluid. So arachnoid के नीचे जो space होता है, that is called subarachnoid space, और जो space is below the dura mater, that is known as subdural space. Pia mater is a Latin word which means soft matter. It is soft as compared to dura mater, which is the hardest layer. Pia mater is soft matter and it is adherent to the surface of brain and spinal cord. So dura mater is in contact with the skull and it is in contact with the brain and spinal cord, so it will cover the brain and spinal cord. So these three layers, dura mater, arachnoid matter and pia mater, are known as meninges. Neuron. Neuron is defined as the structural and functional unit of nervous system is known as neuron. Nervous system का जो structural as well as functional unit है, that is known as neuron. Structural means that the central nervous system is made up of neurons, these cells, and the functions, every function is occurring at the level of neuron. So human brain is composed of around about 10 billions of neurons. Neuron is basically an excitable cell that process and transmits information by chemical and electrical signaling. तो न्यूरॉन जो है it receives information from the receptor, carries it towards the central nervous system, and then carry that message back towards the effector, that is organ or hormones. So it's an excitable cell, and through chemical or electrical signaling it processes and transmits the informations. It is also known as nerve cell. Structure of neuron. Every neuron has three main parts: the cell body, dendrites, and axon. Cell body is the central region which contain nucleus and nasal granules in the cytoplasm. Cell body is basically the central part of neuron, which is containing a nucleus which controls all activities of the neuron. Then the second part is dendrite. Dendrite are the multiple hair-like projections from the cell body and studded with spiny projections. For example, this is a nucleus. तो इस nucleus से इस तरह hair-like, thread-like processes इस तरह निकले होते हैं, and those processes are known as dendrites. और हर एक का end जो है that is spiny projections होते. They contain both nasal granules and neurofibrils. So dendrite forms the afferent component of the impulse, because dendrites gather the information from the surrounding and carries it towards the cell body. So it is forming the afferent component of the impulse. The third part of neuron, that is axon. Axon is only single thin long process present in the neuron containing neurofibrils but no nasal granules. It will only contain neurofibrils, and it forms the efferent component of the impulse. It will carry the messages gathered by dendrites coming into the cell body, or cell body say that message is carried from the carried by the axon towards away from the cell body. So it is forming the efferent component of the impulse. Then comes the types of neuron. So based on conduction direction, means functional classification. If we classify neuron on the basis of function, there are three types of neurons. One is afferent neuron, efferent neuron, and interneuron. Afferent neuron is also known as sensory neuron. इसका दूसरा नाम है sensory neuron. It carries message from receptors to the central nervous system. जो receptor होगा, which is a terminal afferent neuron के base पे जो एक terminal specialized structure होता है, which sense the any change in the environment. तो उधर उस receptor से ये न्यूरॉन मैसेज लेके जाएगा टूवर्ड्स द सेंट्रल नर्वस सिस्टम. तो इसी न्यूरॉन को हम कहते हैं एफरेंट न्यूरॉन, विच विल कैरी द मैसेज टूवर्ड्स द सेंट्रल नर्वस सिस्टम. द सेकंड टाइप इज efferent neuron. Efferent neuron is also known as motor neuron, and it carry message away from central nervous system to the effector. effector में दो चीज़ें आती हैं, muscles और glands. So it will carry message away from central nervous system. Interneuron is also known as mixed relay or local neuron. It connects afferent with the efferent in the neural pathway. तो afferent neuron और efferent neuron दोनों को आपस में connect करेगा interneuron. Inter means between. So it is present between. It is a connection between afferent neuron and efferent neuron. So receptor जो है वो stimulus को सेंस करेगा, एफरेंट न्यूरॉन उसी इंफॉर्मेशन को लेके जाएगा सेंट्रल नर्वस सिस्टम में, सेंट्रल नर्वस सिस्टम में प्रोसेसिंग और इंटीग्रेशन के बाद इंटर न्यूरॉन ये मैसेज देगा इनटू द इफरेंट न्यूरॉन, और इफरेंट न्यूरॉन विल कैरी that message to the effector muscle or the gland to respond to that change. So all this pathway which is carried by the impulse is known as reflex arc. So this was all about the anatomy. The anatomy of brain and spinal cord will be discussed in the coming lecture inshallah. Thank you so much.